Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Given Squared podcast, man. Super excited to be here. It's been a fat minute since I've been in front of the camera, since I've been home, and we'll get into all of that today. I'm gonna, I did some pre-gaming, or I should say some pre-planning before I got in here. People are thinking like pre-gaming. Oh, you got Sendy? No, not that kind of pre-game. You know what I'm saying? But I was doing some pre-planning and I have a docket just so I can keep things in order for today's podcast episode. And before I get started, man, I just want to say shout out to everybody that's been messing with the new content that we got, the fatherhood content at Given Squared. If you haven't followed us yet, go ahead and follow us on Instagram and on TikTok at Given Squared. That's GIVENS squared, and that's I forgot to spell squared. SQUARED. So that's my last name and squared because we got twins on the way, me and wifey. But before we get into all of that, man, what an announcement that we dropped. That was pretty cool to see just everybody just really hyped up about us being pregnant. And it's really cool to see your village all come together and the support of like just random people in general. And I didn't know that this, it kind of went semi-viral for us. It was a picture of our two teddy bears and the ultrasound and two little onesies, and we posted the Teddy Swim song, Small Hands. And I thought, it was just gonna do when I post on Instagram and on social media, we do decent. It's like, our wedding pictures like 500 likes and some hundred comments, and that's cool. That's what's expected when you're doing like when you're celebrating a big accomplishment. But this post took a life of its own. It was crazy to see how many not only followers that we've had in our family and our friends and acquaintances and friends of friends liked the post, but also just random folks that I, I believe that it got into the algorithm, right? It got into the algorithm of Instagram and started pushing it out towards other people just throughout the masses. And I don't know what the number is now, but it was like something crazy, like 20K views, and people were like, 20K, bro, you hype for 20K, like. Hey man, I ain't have like, I mean, I'll say back in my early YouTube days when I used to do Dutch rap reactions, yeah, like 20K would be minuscule to what I was getting because I was getting like 89, 40, 50K views. But on Instagram, like come on now, that's pretty tight. Anyways, man, that's not why you clicked on this podcast episode. You clicked on this podcast episode because the title probably got you like, yo, what happened? And we found out the gender of our two uh our two littles that are going to come join us in early April, late March. And let me tell you, that was stressful. It was the most stressful thing I think I've been through. And just to give you the lay of the land and give you what happened, this is what happened. So my wife goes in to do there's an ultrasound appointment, and I'm not there. And this is, you see me post about how I was feeling some type of way about not being there, whatever. So she goes, and while she has this appointment, she's getting her blood drawn, and we opted in to do the NIPT test, right? I forgot what the NI stands for, but I know it's pre-screening test, right? That's what we wanted to do because we heard that you won't really know the gender until like week 20, week 21. So us kind of being super excited and just like, let's go, let's find out what we're having. We opted in to do an NIPT test. Now, I don't know, because what I've heard about NIPT tests are typically from parents that have singletons. And for those that are just joining and are new to the twin lingo, singletons are those that are having one baby, right? Uh we are multiples, like we have multiples. So that's kind of like the lingo that we twin parents use. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just filling y'all in. So for those that are singleton parents, you don't feel left out, even though we have our own lingo. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying all that. Anyways, I digress. So I've been hearing from all these other parents, singletons, like, "Oh man, we found out the gender really quick. It was awesome. I'm glad we did the NIPT test." And then also, what the NIPT test is used for is to see if there's any genetic things happening. So like Down syndrome or autism or things like that to see if that is a possibility for your baby. That's kind of what they see. And when we opted in to do the NIPT test, yes, it was to know the gender, but also, yeah, it was to know, if we were gonna have a child with special needs. And when we talk about this, and I'll tell you this right now, when we did our NIPT test, results came back, that all came back at low risk. But even if it came back at high risk, folks are like, well, what were you gonna do differently if you didn't do the NIPT test and they did have a high risk of autism or a high risk of Down syndrome or a high risk of these other genetic uh disabilities or whatever the case may be. And I tell them, you, you know, part of the reason why I like the screening for those things is like you can start finding resources now. That's the amazing thing about science, right? And how far we have advanced in our civilization of being able to detect these things early on and not to cure them. Maybe there will be a cure one day, who knows? But these people don't need curing. But what we parents need and what these caretakers need are resources. So if you find out that your child might have a disability, it's helpful to know those things before you have your child so you can be prepared mentally, emotionally, physically, so that you can try to get as many resources for your youth as much as possible. So there's always some pushback and controversy for that, but that's what our thinking was. And we weren't gonna love them any less. We weren't gonna, abort them for those reasons at all, unless there was a low chance of survival and they're not going to have a great quality of life. That was a conversation we had, and those are conversations that are hard to have. Those are conversations that are hard to have as a parent, as a guardian, as somebody who's expecting children. Is what if their quality of life is not that well? What do you do? And now, yeah, we can make this political. Let's make it political. There's people out here that saying, well, abortion is murder and da da da. But if the quality of life of my child is going to be super low and super, I think it should be up. And I believe in my heart, it should be up to that parent. It should be up to that parent, and yeah, that's a whole nother conversation for another time. And we can get deep into that in another episode. But for us right now, I want to go focus back on our NIPT test screening, right? So again, my wife is going through it. She gets her blood drawn. She gets all right, we got your sample. You should find here in 7 to 10 business days. And I think it was like a Wednesday or Thursday that she did this test. So we're hyped. We're like, okay, cool. We got the email that the sample was delivered and they got it. And this is like maybe on the fourth day. On the fourth day, they received our sample. So we're like, okay, cool. Like maybe they I forgot what the saying is where they under promise and over deliver. That's still what it is. Under promise, over deliver. Where they're like, oh yeah, 7 to 10 business days, because we've heard from other people again that they got the results pretty quickly. So we were hopeful. We were like crossing our fingers, like, okay, we're gonna find out the gender disease due any day now. And at that time, I've been traveling a lot, and we'll talk more about that later, but I was in New Hampshire. I was kind of bummed out that we didn't find out together um, at the house while I was home. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, ugh, all right, cool. I guess we came up with a game plan. We talked about it. We're like, okay, so if the results do come in and you're away, do you want me to wait for you and surprise you when you get home? I'm like, heck no, we're gonna hop on the FaceTime and you're gonna tell me. All right, cool, cool, cool. So that was the game plan. So it's a Friday. It's a Friday. I just got done with my presentation in New Hampshire. Got done. We rocked the stage. Students were having a great time. And we get an email. We have a joint email. And we get an email. I get a notification. And right away, my wife's texting me. The results came in, the results came in. And actually, no, 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 no. I was about to go on stage and do a presentation. And I call she we get the notification at the same time. I call her or she calls me, one of the two, and we're on the phone. I'm backstage. I'm like, hey, I got you want to do it right now? Cause I got about like 5 minutes before I get on. But can you wait? I was like, or you can wait 1 hour until I wrap up this presentation at the school and I can call you and we can find out together. She's like, oh, I guess I can wait 1 more hour. I guess we waited about wait, 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 hold on. Let's take a step back. Take a step back. I'm going too fast. All right, cool. Hold on. I gotta get the story right. Z, come on. I'll walk it back. The day before, I'm backstage, right? The day before, we get a notification. I'm in my hotel room. All right. The day before this happened. All right, walk it back. Walk it back with me. Rewind. The day before, we get a notification. Results are in. We're excited. I'm in my hotel room. I just got done doing a presentation at another school. Got into my hotel room. We call each other. She calls me. All right, you ready to find out the results to this test? Yeah, let's find out. Let's find out. She opens it. She opens it. We're on FaceTime. She's screen sharing her screen to see what we're seeing. She opens it. And it's like everything comes back high risk. Everything comes back high risk. For all the genetic mutations, all the things. We're like, what? What is this? And like the smile that we had on the phone, like, okay, yeah, we get to find out. Quickly turned into, wait, what does this all mean? What does it all mean? Like, then they were talking about in the results, it's a invisible twin or a vanishing twin was what it was talking about. And we're like, did we lose? Did we lose one? And for me at this moment, watching my wife's face just drop and her like scrambling for answers, I knew for me in that moment, I had to ground her. Hold on. Wait a minute, right? And that's kind of where I was at. Like, hold on. Wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's we're looking at the sheet that they gave us, the results, and everything came back like inconclusive. And but they're saying high risk, high risk, high risk. But on the other side, they're saying like inconclusive. So I'm like, my my critical thinking skills kicked in. I'm like, well, if it's inconclusive, there's no way that you can say it's high risk because there's no documentation or there's no evidence of it being concrete. So if you're saying high risk for these genetic maybe disabilities or whatever, that's that's not an accurate statement to make, especially in science. What I've understood. So I'm telling her, I'm like, yo, no, like there's something wrong about this. This doesn't sit right. This doesn't sit right. So we went from being like dopamine hitting and being so excited to finally get these results to me now trying to make sure that she was okay and comforting her and I know that this doesn't make sense and having to be that for her and that's for me too. I mean, she was like, no, we're good. I'm said, all right. So next steps is we call our I forgot what her title was, but she's awesome. She was really really cool. But before I called her, the genetic I don't know her title, but I'll tell her more. I'll tell you more about her. But we hang up, and I'm like, hold on, let me do some more research. Let me find out what this all means. So I'm doing research. I'm looking. I'm chat GPTing. I'm googling, and the same thing keeps popping up a couple times. They're saying that there's two things that could have happened. It could have been mislabeled at the lab as just a singleton, meaning that they were looking for the genetic makeup of one baby. But if it's checked off as one baby and you gave a twin sample, it's gonna mess it up. They're reading it as for one baby. So of course it's gonna come up, everything's gonna come up high risk because there's two different strands of DNA, or three technically. Ooh, balloons. There's three different strands of DNA in that blood sample. So it's gonna come off all wacky. So the second thing was that it was opposite. That they, instead of checking off that it was twins, they check it off as singletons, and that made the mistake of the lab made the mistake. All right, cool. Call her. Call my wife back. It was like 20 minutes later. Call her back. Hey, do you think we should email the girl I was telling you about, the woman I was telling you about? "Ah, I don't really want to get on the phone." And she was kind of like, I could feel the sound of her voice kind of sounded like overwhelmed, defeated. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. You don't have to call. I'm gonna call. She's like, okay, yeah, let me know how it goes. All right. So I call. I found the email where she was on. I call her. I'm like, yo, this is Zion. Yo, I wanted to, we got our NIPT test results back. Here's what happened. And before I could get through my story, she's like, wait, 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 wait. I was just about to call you. She said, I was about to call you, and you already went through the results? She's like, I was like, yeah. She's like, don't panic. Don't panic. It's all right. Everything's good. I was like, what do you mean? Everything came back high risk? She's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hold on. She said, the person that sent the lab order in did not check off that it was twins. So the results are all there were the test was screening for one child instead of twins. And when I heard that, oh, like the relief in my body, the relief in my mind, like, and the reason why I was relieved was not because like, oh my gosh, now okay, we're having normal kids. No, it was the relief of having somebody on that other end in our care group, in our care team, walk us through it, that helped us through it. Because that's what we wanted. We wanted somebody to explain. Because we're not we're not OBs. We're not doctors. I'm furthest thing from that, right? So to have somebody that knows and to help us walk through the test results was extremely helpful. So she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna call your wife next. If that's okay with you." I was like, "Yeah, please. She would love to hear that from you." So she calls my wife, and I call her back, and I call my wife back, and she's like, "Yeah, I just talked to her, and I feel so much better." And what she said, she's like, "We'll find out the results in 24 hours now with the right testing tool." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Whew. All right." So fast forward, I'm presenting. I'm about to go on stage. My wife calls. We get a notification at the same time. Test results are in. It's about maybe less than 24 hours, honestly. Test results are in. I'm like, you want to find out now, or can you wait an hour? She's like, well, I've waited already for like 11 days, so I can wait another hour. She waits an hour. I go on stage. We rock out. We hang out with the kids, and it was my last presentation of the day. So I'm walking out, saying peace to everybody. Walk out to my car, the rental car. Get in the car, FaceTime her. I'm giddy, man. I'm super excited. I'm like, all right, man, we about to find out. We about to find out the gender of our two twins. We're about to find out. So my wife, she's screen sharing. She's excited. Man, I have not seen her so this excited in a minute about anything, and to see her light up was just so awesome. So she's on the email. She's clicking through. We put our email, our username and password in, and boom, boom, boom. It goes to the dashboard that says view results. And then we click on it and it says view results with or without sex. And we're like, we're about to find out the sex of these babies. We're about to figure out who's in there cooking up. We click the view results with the genders of these children. And it pops up. And on that first line where it says, patient name, da da da, on the right, it says baby A, sex chromosome, boy. What? Right below, baby B, chromosome, how it looks, boy. We found out we were having two boys, man. In my jaw again. I think my jaw is like dislocated at this point, man, with all the surprises we've been getting. My jaw fell to the floor, man. I was what? Like, what? What's going what? Two boy and my wife's face, man, she was in shock and just smiling ear to ear. And we're like laughing to ourselves, like, oh my gosh. And because, you know, part of me felt like it was two boys cooking up in there. I felt like there was two boys in there. But also part of me was like, I think it's gonna be boy girl. And that's what everybody was saying. Boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. One of my friends, one of my homies, my closest friends, he was like, oh, no, no, no. You're having two boys. You're having two boys. I'm like, all right, bro. And this is the dude that said that we were gonna have twins too. He was one of the ones that guessed that we are having twins. So he's like, nah. It's boys." I'm like, "All right, whatever." And so part of me was like, "Okay, yeah, I agree. It's boys. I agree with him. I thought it was boys." But then part of me, like a bigger percentage of me was like hoping for boy, girl. But then we got the notification and the results that it was 2 boys. And man, we couldn't be more excited. We called everybody. Like we had the 2 teddy bears we've had for a couple months now, or well, we had 1 teddy bear for a couple weeks, and we had another one for a couple years. And we had this little bandana for our doggy Tyson, and it says Big Brother on it. And so she's taking pictures at home, and we told our families, and they were so excited and thrown off, and people were crying, just tears of joy, and it was amazing. And the other part of our test results, everything came back low risk, not high risk. Everything came back low risk for all the genetic uh, disabilities and stuff like that. Low risk. So I share that with you for the parents or the fathers that are, you know, in the same situations that we are in, maybe twins or expecting a baby or, doing the NIPT tests and getting the results you weren't hoping for, or that you were, the results came back and you didn't know what to do, you know what to say, or have an advocate or find a resource, all the things, right? Because what is a roller coaster of emotions that was for us to find out the gender of these 2 boys. It was stressful. It was scary. You go on this, you're on this high, find out the results. You find out the results, and it's not the results you were hoping for. And now you're overwhelmed, you're stressed out, you're trying to find resources, you're trying to find answers. So you finally, instead of playing all these thoughts and scenarios in your head, you look for answers. That's what I empower folks to do is talk to your care team. Make the phone call. And it's gonna fall on us as fathers, it should fall on us to do that, to be the advocates in the room. Because your wife is doing a lot, or your partner's doing a lot, and all their hormones are, all the thing. Like, if you can do one thing and take that off their plate, do it. Yeah, I didn't want to make that phone call. I didn't know what I was gonna say. I didn't know what I was gonna do. But I know I had to make that phone call before I started spiraling myself. I had to. So for the men that are listening to this podcast, for the fathers that are listening to this podcast, be that advocate for your wife. And there's a way to do it without being so confrontational and so rah 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 and getting like in people's faces. And I'm never that type. I'm very personable. I understand that their life and job are stressful just as much as ours. I understand that mistakes happen. So being human, is going to get you a long way than trying to be this. When I say be an advocate, it's not being confrontational. It's not being overbearing. It's being human, but making sure your wife is getting her needs met and making sure you and your family are getting the answers that you need so that you can make a healthy decision for your family. That's what that's what advocacy looks like. That's what it should look like. And I don't say to be a pushover. I'm not saying, I'm saying there there's a difference between aggressiveness and assertiveness. If you can be assertive and still be personable, that's going to get you a lot further than just being aggressive. I promise you. People will try to tell me otherwise, but and try to tell you otherwise, but don't believe that, man. I got so much further in life and gotten so much more respect from being assertive and personable than trying to be aggressive with folks and confrontational. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work really well. So, man, we got 2 baby boys on the way. We got 2 baby boys, and we're super excited to see them and to meet them and to, just oh, I'm hyped. I'm so hyped. And I was talking to my wife, and I was like, there's part of me that wanted a baby girl. There's a large part of me that wanted a baby girl, and we were talking about it. And being believers of Christ, she said something that was really interesting to me, and she was like, and I've heard this a couple of times when we told people that we're having twins. They're like, God knew we needed more men like you. I could tear up just hearing her say that. We're in bed, we're laying down, and we're talking and daydreaming, and I'm like, man, I'm talking to her. I wish I had that. Wish I had a baby girl. That'd been awesome." She leans over and she looks at me and she says, "No, God knew that we needed more men like you, so He gave us two." And man, I can tear up again, tear up thinking about it. But being a dad is one of the greatest things, the greatest privilege and honors that we men will get to experience if that's something that you want. That's something that you want, right? Not trying to say that you have to be a man, you have to be a dad. No, I'm not saying all that. I've always looked at fatherhood as a privilege and an honor. And part of the reason why I'm half the man I am today is because of my parents, but also because of my father. My mom played a pivotal role in my development. My mom's one of those ones. You know what I'm saying? Like my mom is amazing. My dad, man, I've been thinking to myself, if I can just be half the father that my dad was to me, I think my kids are gonna be okay. My dad, my grandfather, the men my dad surrounded me with, my coaches, my teachers that I've had the honor and privilege of, some mentors that I've had to meet, some folks I met out in community. My dad did a great job of just surrounding me with great mentors and men to look up to. He did. And he didn't do it alone, right? Like my mom also played a pivotal part in that. I want to definitely keep that in mind. None of this would happen without my mother, right? Like it takes two to raise a kid, but to raise a young man, to raise a young man, to raise any kid at this point, takes a community. And my dad did a good job. My parents did a good job of surrounding me with some great male role models in my life. So, Dad, if you're listening to this, man, thank you. Thank you for being who you are. And I know you weren't perfect, but I didn't need you to be perfect. I didn't need you to be perfect. I just needed you to be there, and there you were. You were there for me, man. And if I can just be half the man my father was, man, or is, I think I'll be okay. I think my kids will be okay. But I'm hoping that, and it's not a competition, but my thing is like, I don't think I'll ever be better than my dad, but that's the goal. I don't think that bar is high. I don't think I can be better. Man, I'm gonna try, man. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to be a little bit better if I can. I don't even think that's possible. But on the topic of fatherhood, man, I got this docket that we should get through. But before, if you got this far in the podcast episode, man, I just want to thank you for rocking with us. Again, if you haven't followed us on Instagram or TikTok yet, go ahead and follow us at Given Squared. That's the GIVENS squared SQUARED. Given Squared. You can follow us on YouTube as well, Given Squared. And wherever you listen to podcasts, man, that's where we're at. And if you got this far, why don't you drop down names? Why don't you drop down some names for us that you think would be great for these two boys? What are some great names you have? And we have our names picked out. I would just love to hear what kind of names y'all would come up with for your hypothetical kids, or what you're thinking of naming your children. And for those that do know the name for our kids, don't share that yet. Don't share, we'll be ready to share that here soon. But I want to know if y'all can guess what our names are, and if you do know, just don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody else. Let the other people comment. Uh, so let's keep moving through this docket, man. Don't forget to comment your names, and you have questions, comments, or concerns, and you want to just share and want me to answer, man. Go ahead, drop those in the comments as well, or Instagram DM me. On Instagram, you can again Given Squared. Follow us. What you doing? So let's keep moving through this docket, man. One of my favorite things about fatherhood and my favorite things about life in general is being a lifelong learner. I love learning, especially about things that I'm passionate about, like fatherhood. I'm so passionate about this topic, and I'm passionate about fathers being involved in their children's life and in community. That's what I'm passionate about. That's one of my passions. And of course, my passion is always going to be with youth and youth development. So of course, this just fits hand in hand with the work that I do already. So with that being a student of life and a lifelong learner, there was this um, individual that I've been following before I was a father. Before I found out I was going to be a dad, I just loved seeing his content. I loved him seeing a black man with his black family, with his chocolate babies and his chocolate wife and his chocolate family, beautiful, gorgeous, like just all the things, man. This is a beautiful family. And for him to share his life with us, to share his family with us. And it's not always pretty, right? He shows us the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to fatherhood and parenting and marriage and just being what it means to be a man. But he shares it, and the vulnerability is so beautiful. And that's what I preach, and that's what I go out and talk to communities about and youth about, specifically about the importance of vulnerability and how beautiful and ugly it can feel and it could be. But when you find a person and find a community that you connect with because you were so vulnerable, that's the beautiful part about it. And it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sitting up here and talking to these students and talking to my fathers and parents. They think that vulnerability is an easy thing to do. Nah, bro, it's hard. So to see this individual post this content and he does it in a way that is authentic. He does it in a way that protects the privacy of his children and his wife. That's the important part. I see too many other things, other parent stuff out there and exploiting their children for views and faking content and faking the funk where what people really want is that authentic parenting, is that real deal, right? So I've been following him for a minute. Awesome dude. He's a rapper. He's a man of faith. And he goes by the name of Glenn Henry, right? And we talk about Glenn. Glenn, man, and AKA belief in fatherhood. Belief in fatherhood. He created this platform called Belief in Fatherhood. So I've been following him for like, I think now like 3 years, I would say. Like 3 years I've been following him. So before I knew I was gonna be a dad, I just loved his content. And he dropped a book, and he was been promoting this book for a while now. And I was like, okay, when he drops, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna read it, or I'm gonna listen to it because I don't. I mean, I listen. I'm a good audio learner, so I'm like, I'm gonna get this book. And he dropped the book. The book dropped, I think, first week of or the second week of November, and it's called "Father Yourself First" by Glenn Henry. You can go ahead and listen to it on Audible. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it at Barnes and Noble. You can get it wherever, you know, wherever you get your books. But as a dad, I think this is a great book to read. A great book to read to start out. I think it's a great read. I haven't even finished it through all of it. I'm on chapter 6, I believe. Hold on, let me see what chapter I'm on. Yeah, I'm on chapter. I just finished chapter 6. I'm heading on to chapter 7. I haven't finished the book, and it's so good, man. If I were to show you my notes, that's what I'm looking at. My notes of this, man. Look at, bro. This is just 6 chapters worth of notes. 6 chapters, and it's been amazing. And working with youth and working in youth development and parent development, these are the things I know. These are things I know already. But just because I know them, it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt to go back and refresh yourself and to hear it from another perspective that maybe you haven't heard it from before. I don't think I've looked at parenting. Um, that's a lie. But I don't think widely enough people have looked into what fatherhood means in Black communities and Hispanic communities. Those are 2 communities that I'm a part of. All right. So that's what the 2 that I want to focus on. But to hear a Black man share his experience and be the proof. And I love that, man. There's a lot of takeaways here, but he talks about being the proof. And this is what it says right here. I took a note here. It says, being the proof, not the example of what healthy fatherhood and families look like within Black households, or in my case, Blaxican households. I'm raising biracial children. I'm biracial myself. I'm black and Mexican. I call myself Blaxican, right? I'm Blaxican. That's what my children are going to be. And these are two cultures that perceive and oh, sorry, not perceive. I'm going to say there's stereotypes about these two cultures when it comes to fatherhood. We talk about the stereotypes around black fathers is that they're absent fathers, literally absent. They're not around, they're not there, they're whatever, right? That's the stereotype. Mexican stereotypes is that, yeah, the father is there, but they're not emotionally invested. They're just the provider and they just work and they drink and they believe in the machismo culture, right? For those that understand, you understand. But that don't know, machismo culture is like toxic masculinity, where the woman does everything from parenting to cooking to cleaning to obeying everything the husband says. That's so there's that stereotype amongst these two cultures. But what happens when you blend somebody that is not a believer in those two types of stereotypes, who are not those stereotypes? You show them, and you're the proof that there's healthy families in those cultures. You're the proof that there's people that are excited. There's fathers that are excited about being fathers and that are not there just physically, but are invested emotionally, that are invested spiritually. We're the proof of that. I'm the proof of that. And that's what I want to show people today. And Glenn is showing that through his content, is that he's the proof for black fathers, for fathers of color, that fatherhood is lit. It's the greatest honor. And I don't want to spend too much time on the book because I think I want to do a book club with you guys, but I'm gonna do a video of some of my key takeaways. But one of the keys, that one of my favorite quotes that Glenn talks about, there's so much, like I said, but one of the quotes that stuck out to me, which I loved a lot, and this will give you perspective if you're a father. Fatherhood is a privilege and an honor, and we have to realize that. And I have to realize that two times, twice, twofold. What is that is what a privilege it is to be blessed with two children in one time. Right? That's a celebration. The balloons, no, it's a celebration. It's a privilege and an honor to do that. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about fatherhood and parenting. You have to understand. I loved how Glenn said this. This is what he says. Glenn says, you are collaborating with God to create a masterpiece. Yo, what? I'm gonna say it again. You are collaborating with our source, God, to create a masterpiece. You're collaborating with him. Bro, when he said that, for some of us, you're like, yeah, duh, bro. Like, yeah, you're collaborating. But for me, when he said that, the perspective switched because I'm not doing this alone. I'm not doing this alone. And when I say that, yes, there's going to be times where we feel lonely, we feel isolated, we feel that we have no one to turn to, and that's why we created this community so we can actually have uh, um, interactions with one another. But you're never alone because you're collaborating with God. You're collaborating with God to create a masterpiece, bro. If that doesn't change your perspective on fatherhood, and that does not make you want to be a father, that does not make you want to be a present father emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, that doesn't want to make you get involved, I don't know what will. But when he said that, woo, boy, when he said that, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wear this with honor. I'm gonna show up as the best I can every day. If I only have 10%, I'm gonna give my full 10. If I got 100%, best believe I'm gonna give 100, because guess what? I'm not doing it alone. I'm collaborating with God. And he goes more in depth in the book, and we'll talk about it more in the book. But I want to hear from you. For those that are listening, if I clip this up, would y'all be interested in a book club? I love reading. I love listening to these books. I think these are amazing books that we should be listening to as a community. For those that are fathers or thinking about being fathers, I would love to get us in a group, an Instagram group, and just talk about this book. There's so many. There's just so much. There's so much to unpack in this book, and for me, I'm getting so excited. And I have an outlet to share this on. But for those that maybe are like, yeah, I'm introverted, I don't want to do this like podcasting stuff. No, you don't have to do it. We can do it within community, so you feel less lonely, and we can talk about some things. And maybe you have a perspective that I didn't think about. That might be dope to hear. So if you're interested, man, drop that in the comment section or DM me on Given Squared. But I'm super excited about that. Lastly, man, lastly, before I get up out of here, I don't want to make this podcast episode too long. I'm gonna try to keep it within the hour. But this season of my life has been busy, busy. When we talk about it, I've had a hectic schedule since August. August to now in November has been hectic. I've been on speaking tour since August. I think I've been home a total of like throughout the 3 months. I'll say like 20 days out of 3 months I've been home. And right now, when I'm filming this tomorrow, I leave to California and do a presentation. So that actually that will wrap up our 2025 our 2025 speaking year. That'll wrap us up. But man, I've been exhausted. I've been exhausted. And speaking of God and my spirituality and my faith, I prayed for this. I prayed for this lifestyle. I remember watching my mentor Jake White before I joined his team as a subcontractor or as a contractor with him, and watching him like in October, September, August, like always in the airport, always in the airport. Like Tuesday he'll be in like Minnesota, and then on Thursday he'll be in Orlando, Florida. I was like, dang, what a job that is to travel the world and speak life to students and with to faculty members and the parents. Like, wow, I want to do that. So a year later, now fast forward, become a contractor with Jake. Dude, woo, he gave me that times 10. He's like, okay, you want to be on the road? And I laughed to my wife and my parents. I said, God has a sense of humor, and God will give you what you pray for. You'll laugh, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, I want to travel. I want to talk to students all over the nation and all over the globe. Um, and it sounds good in theory. And then God puts you through it. God's like, all right, cool. You want to do this? Let me show you what it's like. Let me show you what it's like. He puts it on you, man. He puts it on you times 10, times 10. And I laugh about it now because I'm wrapping it up. But man, it was a gauntlet. It was a gauntlet. Traveling, the novelty of traveling has died for me. I'm like, I don't want to see an airport for a minute. I'm not trying to sit in a plane for another 3 hours. Oh man, right? It's a blessing, but it also gave me some realization. It's a blessing, but it also gave me some realization. My mental health has not been the best. And my story, when I share my story with students about my mental health journey, I talk about how I um, was going through disassociation in my senior year of high school. I used to disassociate, and how it was scary for like a third person view of my life. How terrifying that was, and how it made me feel numb, where I couldn't feel my emotions, but I also couldn't empathize with other people. And my superpower, even as an adult, is empathy. I have a lot of empathy. I'm able to empathize with folks, and it's an easy skill for me to show. But throughout this 3 months, throughout these 90 days, man, I feel my mental health wanting to go back to disassociation. it wants to disassociate. Like I feel my mind wanting to just like go there. And the last couple engagements, man, I've had to go back into the coping skills that I've learned of centering and grounding myself. So I didn't let myself go into that disassociated state because to be disassociated means you're not present with these students and they deserve your presence. And the other part about it too is I'm out of routine. I'm out of routine. Man, I'm a gym guy. I love going to gym. I love lifting. I recently got into running. I don't know what happens when you turn 25, but you turn into this runner and whatever. But those things help me a lot. The other thing that was part of me struggling with my mental health this tour was my wife being pregnant, right? And me not being there to support her and her having rough days and her not being me not being able to be there to help her out. Like that's in the back of my mind, right? As well. And we have other big things in the works that could be stressful as well. And we'll talk about that later. But dang, like my body felt like it wanted to protect itself from all the things that were happening. But one of the things that I did do, man, is I practiced those skills that I developed of journaling, of grounding myself. The 5 4 3 2 1 activity makes me really be present. Prayer, praying, and then when I am home, being around people and things that fill my cup up. I got a great friend group, man. I think I have one of the best friend groups ever. I got the best family in my like, man, being around those people makes me feel better. Makes me feel better. There was days where I've literally I'll give you this example. There was a day where it's how I knew it was getting a little strenuous for me was my body was telling me, whoa, 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 too much. I came back home from a speaking engagement on the East Coast and I had a migraine. I haven't had a migraine in a minute. And my migraines present really strange. It almost looks like a stroke where, my fingers go numb, my eyesights get blurry, I'm throwing up, I'm nauseous, my head's pounding. It's bad. So I went into one of those migraine episodes and my body was just telling me like, yo, man, we need to relax or we need to do something to fill my cup up or something. And that we had planned out for us to go back to our hometown in Tucson to do lunch with my mother-in-law, my mom, and my sister, and my grandparent in-laws, right? Like my wife was like, "Nah, we probably should cancel. We probably shouldn't go." I'm like, "No, I want to go. Like, I want to go." And I'm so glad we went. I felt good the next day. It's weird how it happens. Like it presents really harshly, and then afterwards, it's like really good. Like I'm fully functioning. But I'm so glad we went. I'm so like my cup was full and I had to just catch a flight like the following or the next that Monday. So it was Saturday. I was home Saturday, Sunday, had to leave Monday. But I left feeling energized again, being around those people. They fill my cup up, right? I'll give you another example. I was in Kansas City, I was in Missouri on Saturday. My best friend, man, he was gonna propose to his fiance, his now fiance, his girlfriend. Um, And he's like, "Man, don't feel like you have to come. I know you just got off the plane." And, so he lives about an hour, my friends still live in my hometown. So I'm living about an hour 30, maybe 2 hours away from them. So I landed in the airport. My wife picks me up and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go from the airport straight down to the homie's house. And I'm glad I did because when is the next moment you're gonna be able to see your best friend propose to the love of his life and to be a part of that? And to be around people, to be around his family, man. I love his family. Like man, being around just good people makes me feel good. So I say that all to say, my mental health took a hit, but it was about finding those healthy coping skills that were the best for me when I did get home. And I did rest, sleep in my own bed. Not I didn't go to the gym. I haven't gone to the gym in a minute, but I'm making that a point of emphasis for me next month to get in there and to get back into that routine for the next like month or two. Um, but yeah, finding that balance. of work, relaxation, and connection is so important, especially as an expecting father. But with that being said, in the book Father Yourself First by Glenn Henry, he was a rapper, right? And he used to go to do tours and get everybody excited, kind of like me in the accent. And I could see myself in his story where he was out on the road, you know, inspiring young people and audiences across worldwide. And in his story, he talks about how he had a conversation with his wife of like, how much do we need for childcare? Because that will give me an idea of how many gigs I need to take so that we can have the lifestyle to that we want. And he's listing numbers and figures. He's like, what, like 20, 30, 40K, 50K. And his wife stops him and she goes, sounds like you're setting me up to be a single parent. Mm. Mm. It made me think, man, and I had some, introspect, like some deep conversation with myself and look in the mirror. And he says this, he says, in that moment as well, he realized that the biggest show or presentation that he'll ever have is the ones in his living room. And the audience that's going to need him most are his kids. And that struck me, bro. That struck me like right in the chin. Mm. Chin and gut punch. It was like a combination. Boom, boom. Like, dang. The biggest show or the biggest presentation that I'll ever have are the ones in my living room. And the audience members that need me the most are going to be my kids. So it had me thinking, man, as an entrepreneur, as somebody that started this business 2 years ago, speaking and traveling the nation, talking to students about how to protect their mental health, how to have healthy coping skills, it really made me think, will my business and will the job that I've created and the business I've created really keep me home for those presentations that really matter in my living room and for the audience that members that really need me, that being my kids. It's something that I've been struggling with, man, for the last couple months. So I've been trying to get creative with ideas because, I love speaking. I love traveling the world and talking to youth and empowering them to make healthy decisions and empowering them to take care of their mental health and advocate for themselves and how to help a peer who may be struggling. I love that. That's my life. That's what gives me purpose. But what gives me purpose as well is my family. That they have always been my North Star. My future family has always been the ones that I go so hard for. Before I even had kids, people were like, "Why do you go so hard?" Because I want my future kids to be set up and my future family to be set up for success. The success now I'm realizing doesn't necessarily mean financially. We're blessed to be financially blessed. Like we're blessed in that situation. But it wasn't always like that. If you keep chasing money, you're gonna be leaving your family a lot. Where you're gonna wish and pray that you were there more. So it's been a tough conversation with myself. And one of the things I think that's benefited me has been creating a platform like this. I'm passionate about fatherhood. I'm passionate, bro. Like that. This is me. I want to help inspire. I want to help connect other fathers to fathers that are doing amazing things. This right here might be the natural pivot to lock in on, to go all in on. Not saying that the you speaking thing is never gonna happen. It's not. It's dead and it's done. And I'm retiring. No. Don't get that twisted, boy. No, don't get that twisted. Mm-mm. Got a lot left in the tank, but I also want to be there for my wife and kids. So, man, if you are an entrepreneur father and you're trying to figure it out as well, man, let me know what you're thinking. Let me know how you're feeling. I don't have the answer. I don't know. I don't. These are all just ideas and things that I'm throwing out there. But shoot, I haven't decided yet on anything. So I would love your help. I would love your guidance and your advice as well for those that have been father or that are still fathers, or maybe they're fathers of older parent or older kids. Um, Let me know what you did. How did you pivot? How did you stay home more? How did you? And I would love to hear that because, like I said, man, I'm not going to have all the answers, but I would love for this community to come together and help each other and support one another. And maybe it starts with me, being vulnerable with y'all, man. I don't know what's next for me. I don't know if I go back to a 9 to 5 or if I, you know, hang up the mic for a while. Like, I don't know. I know, but I would love somebody to be a sounding board for me, or what are the questions that I'm not asking myself, or what is the perspective that I'm missing? I'd love to hear your thoughts, man. And I've been yapping for about 55 minutes, man. But I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you. I appreciate every father that's tuned in to this podcast or interacts with our content. I appreciate every mother. I mean, every mother out there, man. Y'all deserve your flowers. You all are you. Without you all, this doesn't happen. We don't have to honor the privilege to be a father. So shout out to the moms, and shout out to the moms that send this content to to their husbands or to their partners. Man, thank you so much. Keep doing that. Keep sharing this with other men in your life that need to hear the message, that need to understand what's going on, or just needs to, feel a part of something. Man, send it to them. And again, man, lastly, you can follow us at Given Squared. That's GIVENS squared, SQUARED. Man, I'm super excited. I'm gonna try to get this more weekly, more routinely. But until then, man, I hope to see y'all on the next one, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. All right, man. Peace.